Our film today begins with a group of geologists, McLive, Paul, and Harvey, who were working for a company doing research on the desert. They were surprised to find strange knocks in their devices, so they decided to go and examine the place themselves. When they arrived at the place, they saw a large egg-shaped rock in the middle of the desert, so Paul decided to take a sample of it. In order to conduct a study on it, the first person approached the rock with his axe and hit it with such force that it had a very strong surface, yes, to the point that it multiplied and created a hole. When Paul tried to look into this hole, it had a strange creature that pulled him inside and disappeared. After that, we moved to the systems store. His name is Zach, who received a warning that the system in the unit had failed. Antarctica, but Zach was a beach prospector, and they knew that he would overcome this danger and make the situation stable. Zach's boss at work was very happy with him and his work. Because of this, he decided to do another job. Zach went out into the desert to start the project that was required of him, and after that he met a police officer who was delivering a new company. When Zach enters to complete the security examination and inspection, he meets a police officer named Maki and a police officer, the second, a little older one. His name is Johann Mickey. While she was searching Zach's bag, she found a strange few in it. She asked Zach, and he told her that the name of this group was Charlie, and that she could get them to the place of water, even if it was 100 people away. When they finished this investigation, Mickey was looking at her notebook to write down only Zach's name in it. She discovers that Johann was hiding it in his trousers, and this is in the hands of Carl, the second officer with them in the office. So she cheats on me with Johann, and they hit each other, and Mickey takes her notepad and walks away. After that, Zach tells Mickey that he is going to the desert with his team, which includes Magda, Corto, Titus, and Carl, to search for geological signs of the creatures that we talked about. At first, they bring a large shipment and carry large amounts of fuel because they may have to wander in the desert for thousands of kilometers until they find their friends. After a while, Mickey asks Magda for the shipment to take them to the place they want. They find 2 bodies thrown on the ground, and when Carly sees them, they know that they are a clip. And Paul and all of them were surprised at how the bodies had decomposed so quickly, because it only took a few hours. Suggests that they speak to the higher authorities, but Carly was suspicious that Harvey might be behind everything that happened, because their bodies are not yet there. Titus prays for them when he sees the secret of feet in the ground on the sand, and they all guess that it might be Harvey's, so they see him. And suddenly Titus stops them and tells them the truth, and the feet are short now. What used to be 2, but at first, is now 4. And at the same time, Zeke gets signals on his device, and then he takes him to a place where he sees strange things attached to sticks in the desert, and Zeke approaches them and tries to touch them, but Titus stops him and says, "Let's quickly get out of this place." And the freebie continues, walking behind the palace of the feet until some point. Belahu, Jumjuma, Cordo, and Mickey examine it and find out that it is Harvey's, but Carly is still dead because Harvey is the killer, and at night, like you, he cannot sleep because he is shocked by what he saw all day. So he decides to change modo a little. So he starts to slide the sand, and she brings Mickey and takes him to Carly's grocery store and tells him that she made 0 all night and that she did not. Do you know how to sleep with it? After Mickey and Zeke get close to each other, and Mickey prepares Zeke to sleep after that, even though he insisted that she stay with her outside, and Charlie starts traveling again with a very loud voice, as if she is warning of something. He suddenly looks around like you and sees a strange deceiver approaching him. So he becomes frightened and runs quickly to wake up his team. He actually wakes him up and explains to Carl what happened, but he does not believe him. Miku says that ghost of their friends is not there, and Carl suspects that Zeke may have hidden them or something. So Zeke tells them that he is the only one in charge of the regime, and that he has nothing to do with the dead ghosts after you. They are discussing, and Titus tells them about a creature called Azikolo that takes the life of living things and leaves the bones. But this is the way this creature lives. But also, Carl does not believe what he says, so he leaves them and walks. The next day, they continue walking behind short-legged people, so they realize that there is a strange creature a little far away from them. So Carl quickly took the gun and shot it. Suddenly, it turned into pieces on the ground and disappeared, so he quickly tried to see it, but it was nothing but the bones, this time Titus. He tells them that he was exposed to a similar situation when he was young when he was going to the Magicians with his friend. She goes to sleep after that, even though he insisted that she stay with her outside, and Charlie starts traveling again with a very loud voice, as if she is warning of something. He suddenly looks around like you and sees a strange deceiver approaching him. He becomes frightened and runs quickly to wake up his team. He actually wakes him up and explains to Carl what happened, but he does not believe him. Miku says that ghost of their friends is not there, and Carl suspects that Zeke may have hidden them or something. So Zeke tells them that he is the only one in charge of the regime and that he has nothing to do with the dead ghosts after you. They are discussing, and Titus tells them about a creature called Asicolo that takes the life of living things and leaves the bones. But this is the way this creature lives. But also, Carl does not believe what he says, so he leaves them and walks. The next day, they continue walking behind short-legged people, so they realize that there is a strange creature a little far away from them. So Carl quickly took the gun and shot it. Suddenly, it turned into pieces on the ground and disappeared, so he quickly tried to see it, but it was nothing but the bones, this time Titus. He tells them that he was exposed to a similar situation when he was young when he was going to the Magicians with his friend. They found themselves in Sito, and there was nothing in her faith other than what was normal here. They started to become afraid and decided to leave the place and walk. As soon as they got to the Arabic class, something happened like a money mask and a fire was burning in the Arabic car. Carto told them that she would need her cups to be repaired. Mickey tried to call someone on the device she had with her, but it did not work, unfortunately. There was no situation in front of them except that they were waiting for any help. 2 days later, he saw an enemy plane above them and was very afraid. But Magda reassured him and told them that this plane was coming to locate them so that a rescue team would be sent to them. After that, Magda pulled out the emergency tent and a card that collects the bones inside, and the storage unit that was in the truck and on top of another. Cart says to Tits, "Come on, take your patrols to hold a place." He sleeps on the floor. Tits takes his mind off the place, and suddenly the strange creature sees and is approaching Cart. Tits senses that there is someone in the place, so he decides to wake up Cart. When he went to wake him up, he was shocked when he saw him trying to find a skeleton in a strange creature everywhere. Even with his body, he quickly calls for a card and brings his girl. But at this time, the strange creature that was on the body of a card was able to put Tits on his arm. Quickly fired at Carl because this strange creature moves in the desert and acts like a black ant. Carl and Magda said they would attack this entity, but it was not going to fail at all. So they took Tietz to the shipment and tried to treat his reeds. Carl wanted to sprinkle fuel on the ground and tried to start a fire next to the shipment, but Magda. She told him, "Don't do that because we have a very large amount of gasoline with us. If we spill it, we will all die." But because of the stronghold of luck that the creature used to retreat with the gasoline, the time when someone like you was spraying gasoline in it, about the amount of gasoline, Carl screamed at him and raised the gun at him and told him, "On my way, but in..." The truth is that he was not raising the gun to his face. He was raising the gun toward the cane, Asicolo, who was standing right behind Zeke. And when Carl shot him, he shot him because he exploded you. But then he gathered again. Carl tried to shoot him again, but Zeke prevented him, saying that it is possible that the creature will become angry with us and betray us. Some and Mickey are forced to enter and tell them that we must all think together. What will we do if we want to get out of here alive? They all gather around the tired Titus and make about 40 kilometers away from them, but they agreed that they would leave Majd so that she could take a drink from Tights the next day. Ike, Zach and Carl begin their journey, but a sandstorm comes, leaving them unable to see anything, so they hide in the sand until the storm passes. But unfortunately, Charlie's grocery store was destroyed. In the end, even the gasoline that he used to have with him was left with nothing but a simple thing, and at a time that came to me from this god, they decided that they would rest next to a tree. They held each other's hands, and Zach made a circle with the gasoline around them, so that if there was any psychology, he would stay away. And after a while, Carl lighted his ketchup so that he could look around them like this, so it would be in their urine. The creature approaches them and is wearing Magda's clothes, so they understand that he is the killer of Magda and Titus, and they try to get close to them. But he cannot because of the gasoline. The next day, they hear the sound of a dosha coming from the radio, and Carl tells them that this dosha is coming from the geologist's truck, so they approach it and see the rock that looks like the egg that Bal had made at the beginning of the movie, so they entered the hole in it. And after they examined the place like you, he told them that this was the house of any psychologist, and that he was originally an ant. But he evolved himself, and that he needed a human bone to use him
answer
as a
man
human.
and living creatures. After that, Johann arrived and asked him to get out of the place they were in. When he saw bodies thrown on the ground, he thought that they were the ones who killed these people. He thought that if they had entered, for example, the inside of this hole and betrayed him and killed Wab and Zeke, he tried to explain the situation to him, but Johann, he was not in a state where he could understand it, and he took them away at gunpoint. Johann took the team in his car, so Carl hit him behind him and he fainted. They decided to get out and put their shoulders to Adohan and see how they would kill this creature. Like you, he says that Isokolo is trying to build his colony and that the best place to build a colony is the mine. Before they leave, Carl discovers a liquid concocted substance in Johann's shipment, so they decide to take it with them after Carl the mine. They search for this strange creature and they actually find it. Carl tries to chase it, and despite the fact that Mickey and Zeke warn him, he continues to walk for one life. Unfortunately, Isokolo falls with a heavy iron on Carl's leg, leaving him dead. He is unable to walk, and when the creature is gone, Carl Zeke hits Narab with his gun to attract the creature's attention. Until Zach was able to throw her into a deep pit. Carl approached Zach and thanked him for saving his life, but suddenly Isokolo appeared and took Carl by the leg and took him down into the hole. Zach tried and they could pull him, but he decided that he would sacrifice his life and go down into the pit with Isokolo and blow himself up with him. The one with him actually has an explosion and the whole place is shaking. They see something strange and they conclude that it is on Isokolo, and the ants begin to appear again and are about to be attacked by Zach. But he quickly stabs this mind with his knife and immediately pushes the ants away from them, and the creature dies, and they are able to get out of this place while they are alive when they come out. Mickey and Zach are shocked when they see Johanna's body turned into a toy in the scene that follows. Zach bids farewell to Mickey as she gets into a taxi and drives away from the place. We are surprised that Mickey's bag contains the mind of this creature. If you like the movie, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates.